And oh my gosh, I am so glad to be back. Syreta Talks with Richard Chandler II. There's some important issues that don't always touch on criminal justice reform, even though everything is cyclical. So when I met Richard, first I was impressed that he's a younger individual. How old?
27.
27 years old, but a wealth of knowledge about things that my mind was like, psh, real estate broker. Okay. So there's a difference between an agent and a broker, but I'm going to turn it over to Richard. And first, I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and then maybe the difference between an agent and a broker and how that can help us.
All right. Well, first, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I am a broker, so I deal with people who are looking for financing. So
Okay.
when you're going to buy a home, you can have an agent who is the one going around with you, looking at homes,
Uh
and,
huh.
doing the shopping part
Uh huh.
as you all are going and exploring, finding that dream home.
Uh huh.
And then once you find that dream home, then you will come try and find financing. So I
Okay.
go and reach out to all the different types of lenders
Uh
that
huh.
could potentially help you buy that home. And so that's my job to do that part of the shopping for people.
Well, I love that because you said your dream home, your forever home. Now, a lot of people feel as though home ownership is unattainable.
Mm,
Tell us what we need to do. I know credit is a huge factor.
right.
Yeah, so maybe tell us a little bit about the importance of keeping up your credit.
Definitely. Credit is king in most places. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to financing, that's what they want to see, the history. Are
Yeah.
you someone who pays their bills? Are you
Yeah.
someone that they can trust to give this 30-year or 15-year note, however long the loan's going to be for? They
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you won't just up and disappear.
So the first thing we need to do is make sure that our credit is good. Now, I have all sorts of credit tips because I was able to build good credit in prison. All right, I had a student loan and I paid $5 a month on that student loan and came out with a 722 and it's went up from there. Thank
Wow.
you, thank you. Thank you. And FICO, I appreciate you. I just want to thank FICO, but I also want to thank the Lord for giving me the presence of mind to have good credit. Okay, but a lot of people don't know how important your credit is. So the first step would be to check your credit score. Okay.
Mhm.
And then now Dave Ramsey, I don't know you, maybe we'll get to know each other, but I read your book and I like the debt snowball. So now we've got good credit. We've got good credit and we're coming to see you because we need help buying a home.
Right.
Okay. So we've already worked through the agent. Tell me some of the ways that a person with good credit and, what's the deposit look like? Or is that different depending?
So there are different programs out there. So definitely do your homework. That's one thing I can say. We are in the information age. So
Yeah.
it's so easy now to go online and do your own research to kind of find out what's available in your area because it is very different state to state and city to city.
Hmm.
So everything that we might be able to do here in Missouri might not be the same for people in, Illinois.
Absolutely.
So that's
So, are there some awesome programs right now? Like maybe just give us one or two that you know about?
Yeah. So one that's fairly new, dealing with the market right now. They're trying
Hmm.
to make it easier for people to be able to buy homes because right now people are
Yeah.
getting priced out. It's become a little unaffordable. When you
Absolutely.
talk about down payment,
Hmm.
so down payments, a lot of times, usually traditionally, people were paying 3 to 5%, maybe more,
Uh huh.
to buy that home. Nowadays, you have lenders that might pay some of that percentage for you. So
Wow.
there's 1% down programs, which is
Okay.
unheard of. Just putting
Yes.
1% down it's crazy. So they're out there. So you have to find
Yeah.
what is available in your area.
I really feel like that has to do with having a good broker too.
Definitely.
So, should they be shopping for their broker just like they're shopping for their home?
It is definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So your broker should know about all those different programs available in your area.
Okay, so the 1% down, and is there still first time home buyer? Is that something?
Definitely, yeah. So first time home buyer is pretty much across the board. You usually can find different grant programs, and those are
Okay.
definitely very specific. So
Okay.
sometimes there's classes that you might have to take, which aren't. It's not going back to school. It's not hard.
Yeah,
More so
yeah.
just like a seminar. They want to make sure you understand what's going on and kind of get there a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more. um, ins and outs of buying a home. But when you're
Uh-huh.
done with that program, then they can in turn give you a couple $1,000 towards that
Man.
purchase. So there's a lot of help out here for you.
Yes, that sounds super advantageous. And I would be, I don't know if I'm stepping out too far to say that maybe everyone buying a home would benefit from a class because of
Definitely.
closing cost. That's another thing.
Hmm.
But also other, what are some, and I listen, I am not yet a home owner, but when I become one, I've already heard about closing costs. So maybe start with closing costs because I think people are sometimes caught unaware. Tell
Hmm.
us a little bit about it.
Definitely. So I also have a lot of experience doing loans for veterans. So using that VA loan,
Yeah.
as we've talked about, there's a
Uh-huh.
lot of benefits. So the VA loan, there's actually no down payment, but a lot of
Wow.
people get that confused and think that there's also no closing costs, which is not true.
Who? And they're caught unaware. So how
Yeah.
much? Yeah.
So closing costs, the rule of thumb typically is you want to at least expect 3% of whatever your overall home cost is or loan
Ooh
cost will
wee.
be.
Yeah. So you really want to watch out for that. And I just like I had already been led to believe, some people are caught unaware, and that could be the
Mhm.
for your nice housing dreams when you get a curveball thrown at you. So you said veterans loans. Now, is this just the veteran, or can the veteran's family utilize that as well?
So with the VA loan, it is very specific. So it is
Okay.
just for the veteran. Now,
Okay.
there are different things you can do where maybe if it's two people buying a home and
Mm-hmm.
one of them's a veteran, one isn't,
Mm-hmm.
they sometimes give you some of the benefits and not all. It just depends. So
Okay.
like I said,
Okay.
there's a lot of different rules and regulations.
Which is why you need an excellent broker. Tell us your first and last name one more time and some contact info. We're not done, but I just want to get it out there. Tell us how we get a hold of you. Tell us right now if you have a website. Come on.
Yeah. So again, Richard Chandler and prosperfirm.com. So we can
Okay.
handle anything, even for you all that want to get into real estate investing. We can help you with those loans as well.
Wow.
So
Okay, so I have a friend and she does stuff through her. She is an agent, but Spec Homes. So, are you familiar with the Spec Home market?
so Spec Home is a bit more catered and specific.
Okay.
So that's not one that I deal with too much.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, a little bit. I don't personally do it, but yes,
Okay.
I know there is a market.
Yes. Now, let me tell you this though. You talked about how the market right now is so cramped and people are getting outpriced. With that being said, is it maybe a time to wait? Or should you still be looking? And if you find the ideal property, what should you do? What should you do?
I wouldn't say to just call it quits because
Mm-hmm.
there are still deals out there. And like I said, if you're doing your research and finding the right thing, what I will say is to be careful because you don't
Okay.
want to fall in love with a property and then decide you're going to get it by any means. And then at that point, you put yourself underwater. And that's what we're seeing with the market right now. A lot of those
Mm-hmm.
people took the low rates during COVID and got into these big homes and loans that they truly couldn't afford to keep doing.
Oh
So
yeah.
now, as the market's kind of restructuring, maybe their home isn't even worth how much they paid for it because they paid
Mm,
over asking price. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. So if
okay.
you're in a situation where, you're getting outbid all the time and you're going to have to pay over what the home is worth, it might not be worth it.
Man, you know what? That message right there transcends on so many different levels. I feel like sometimes we get so excited about something
Hmm.
that we don't want to, it's like we get blinded. I remember when I was going to buy my car, I had a lot of friends and I had a super high interest rate because I got this car. That's a whole story about just God working. I got a car 1 month out of prison because I had that good credit score and I had $1,000 down. I could not believe we got stimulus checks, so I saved half of them. And I had that, but I wasn't even starting a job. I started two jobs within the next couple of weeks while I had a super high interest rate. And my friends were like, oh my God, your interest rate, your interest rate, your interest rate. Now, it worked in my favor because I was able to get a car, even though I had the bad interest rate, and I was able to refinance. But a lot of people thought I had those blinders on, and thank God the car's still running, or else they would have been like the blinders. But a lot of times that doesn't work out well. And I know they call it upside down in your car. Do they have a term for when your house costs more, or excuse me, is less than what you paid for it?
Yeah, you're underwater at that point.
Underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you become drowning in debt. I'm sure that's where they got it. You're underwater, you're drowning.
Definitely.
Well, let me just ask you this, because it's not often that a real estate broker can just sit down and have a conversation with all of us. So we're looking for our ideal home. We find something where we're not getting bidded out all the time. What do we need to be looking for, or what questions do we need to ask you when we sit down with a broker? What questions are we asking?
Yeah, definitely. So your broker's probably going to ask you a lot of those questions that they need to know. But you, as a good customer or consumer, can be shopping a bit smarter and already going above and beyond, and just asking those different questions as far as like inspections are huge. That's something that a lot of people are waiving right now just because of the market. You have people like these bidding wars, and they're just like, okay, I want the house so bad, I won't even do an inspection. Let's just go and buy this, which is not always the best deal, because then again, what if this house looks great on the outside, and then you get in there and start,
there's black mold and rodents and the plumbing's all messed up and the city's not going to pay, right?
Exactly. And then who has to pay you? You own the home. So it's your issue. And some of those things could become major issues where now it's not just affecting you, but your property could be affecting the city. And now you have to pay the city money to come out and do work, and it might be tens of thousands of dollars. And all of that could have been avoided if you just did an inspection. So I would just say, like I said, do your research, ask those questions, make sure that all of your people that are working for you have done that as well. Just kind of double check behind them.
Now, let me tell you, as a injustice, sometimes it is, as a criminal justice involved person, are there certain areas that maybe would block someone even if I had the money, or is it just money talks? And as a broker, would you be able to make sure before I get invested emotionally in this property that I could move there?
Yeah, so there shouldn't be any of that going on now. That's redlining, which so
it is.
So illegal. Can't do that. Big fines if you find someone that's doing that, might be worth making a call.
Thanks. It is worth it. Yeah.
Definitely. But as far as that goes, there shouldn't be. After 2008, the government said they were tightening everything up. So as you all know, with the bubble crashing and the housing market was just a mess. So they were like, let's not ever get in that position again. And so there's a lot more red tape out there set up for your protection. So a lot of these things, like I said, they're set in place to help you. So don't wave all that off. Actually do it.
Okay, well, let me just say this. This man said in 2008 when the bubble burst. How old were you in 2008?
Oh, my goodness. I would have been maybe 11 or 12.
Look at the wealth of knowledge in our youth. Okay, look at the wealth of knowledge in our youth. And I am just so glad that when I invited him to share his knowledge, he was like, yes. He was like, yes, because it doesn't matter who's watching. Some things transcend it all. So whether or not you're criminally justice informed, you should be after this, or impacted, the message is still the same. We would all want to one day own a home. And out of the mouths of babes. Thanks for coming on, Richard. Anything you want to leave us with? Shoot your website out again.
So again, prosperfirm.com. I'll give you my license. You can look me up on the consumer access website. NMLS 1669939. And again, Richard Chandler, prosperfirm.com.
That's right. Learn more about your broker and utilize Richard. Thank you. Give me some 5. All right.
Thanks for
Take care.
You too.